Hello YouTube and welcome to the next route learning video. On today's journey, as promised, I'm continuing on from the previous video where we travelled from Bishop Auckland to Darlington along the Just Trains route in a Northern Rail Class 142 Pacer. So today we're going to be travelling from Darlington to Middlesbrough in a Pacer, and we will be calling at Dinsdale, Allens West, Eaglescliffe, Thornaby and Middlesbrough. The total distance is around 15 miles and it should take us about half an hour to drive. As this is now my third video in a Pacer, the train itself needs little introduction, but I will just say that this is basically a bus body built on a freight truck shell, so you can see that there are actually only 4 wheels per carriage instead of 8, and there are no bogies, which makes these trains pretty rough riding and very bouncy on tracks in real life. The maximum speed of this train is 75 miles per hour. Now that we're inside the train, I'm going to turn on the headlights onto full, reset the AWS self-test sequence, and as you can see we have a green signal at the end of the platform. So I'm going to turn off the driver reminder appliance, and now I'm going to open the windows, and we should be ready to depart in a short while. Departing from Darlington, the starting speed limit is 15 miles per hour, and we've got just under 3 3/4 miles to go to the next stop, which is Dinsdale. Now that we've reached 15 miles per hour, which we reached remarkably quickly, I've idled the power to allow the train to coast. And as we cross the next point just coming up, the speed limit will be going up to 25 miles per hour. The speed limit is now 25 miles per hour, so I will go into full power to accelerate up to that. As we join the main line here, the speed limit has now gone up to 40 miles per hour. However, it's quickly going down to 30 as we cross this point just ahead to the left, as we depart the East Coast main line to head towards Middlesbrough. So I've idled the power at 30 to allow the train to coast until we can accelerate further. The speed limit is now going up to 35 miles per hour, so I'm going to go into step 5 power, which should bring us up to around 32 to 33 and hold us there until we're able to accelerate further. There is a 60 mile per hour speed limit coming up shortly. The speed limit is now going up to 60 miles per hour, so I'm going into full power to accelerate to the new speed limit. reach 60 miles per hour, I'm going to idle the power and allow the train to coast. If we lose too much speed and drop to around 56, 57, I will then reapply power once again to bring us back up to 60. The Morpeth board that we're now passing is 1.5 miles from our stop, and it's actually a warning for a split speed limit of 30 over 60, the 30 mile per hour speed limit being for freight trains and the 60 for passenger trains. As a result, we can ignore this board and don't need to do anything. At this next signal after these speed boards, we've now got 3/4 of a mile to go to our stop. We now have a warning for a speed reduction to 30 miles per hour, which comes into force just after our stop. I'm going to brake for our stop at this overbridge that we're about to pass under. So I'm now going into step 2 braking to slow us down. Like many routes in Train Simulator, there are no clear stop markers on this route to tell me where to stop. Here at Dinsdale, I'm aiming to stop around the middle of the platform. Departing from Dinsdale, the starting speed limit is 60 miles per hour, however it's quickly down to 30 by the signal you can see just coming up. So as we get to 30 miles per hour, I'm going to shut off power and allow the train to coast. We've now got around 4 miles to go to the next stop, which is Allens West. As you can see, the speed limit is now going back up to 60 miles per hour, so I'm now applying full power. not a lot to say along here, just to give you a bit of background to this route. The branch from Darlington to Middlesbrough is part of the updated East Coast Main Line Northeast from DP Simulation. So this is part of the York to Newcastle route, which has been updated, and the branch from Darlington to Middlesbrough has been added with scenery. The track also goes from Middlesbrough down towards Northallerton, however that part doesn't currently have the scenery modelled. We're now passing Teesside Airport Station. We've now got around 2.5 miles to go to our next stop. As we've reached 60 miles per hour, I'm now idling the power to allow the train to coast. Once again, if we lose too much speed and get down towards 55, I will reapply power to bring us back up towards 60 again, and then idle the power and repeat the process. Unfortunately, there is no throttle setting that will hold us at around 60 miles per hour. We're either accelerating or decelerating. As you enter this right curve, the power needs to be in idle, as the speed limit will shortly be dropping to 50 miles per hour. And as we enter this left-hand curve, I'm now going to apply the brakes to slow down for the 50 speed limit. I've now released the brakes, but I'm allowing the train to continue to coast, as the speed limit will shortly be dropping to 45 miles per hour. I'll just apply light braking as we see the speed board, which we can see it now, just to ensure that we're below the speed limit. We're now passing a warning board for a 30 mile per hour speed limit, which comes into force just after our next stop. You can now see the platforms at Allens West just coming up, so I'm now making a step 2 brake application to bring our speed down. Here at Allens West, we need to stop at the S sign, which is at the end of the platform. Departing from Allens West, the starting speed limit is 45 miles per hour, and we've got just under 3/4 of a mile to go to the next stop, which is Eaglescliffe. You can see that the speed limit is now going up to 60 miles per hour. However, it is very quickly down to 30 after that, so there's no point in accelerating much above 30 miles per hour. In fact, you can see the 30 mph speed boards just coming up. So now we're doing around 30. I'm just going to idle the power. And I'll apply very light braking just to ensure that we're below the speed limit. Now we're in the 30 mph speed zone. I'm just going to allow the train to coast around here. The speed limit will shortly be dropping again to 25 mph. We can brake for that as we see the 25 mph speed board. As you can see, we're now entering the 25 mph speed limit, and our stop here at Eaglescliffe is just coming up. And I believe that this is roughly the right stopping point here at this end of the platform. Departing Eaglescliffe, the starting speed limit is 60 mph, and we've got around 3 miles to go to the next stop, which is Thornaby. As we get to just above 50 mph, I'm now going to idle the power and allow the train to coast. As you saw, the last signal was a double yellow, and the next signal ahead appears to be a single yellow, which it is. We also have the feather indicator telling us that we're going right towards Middlesbrough. So I'm now going to apply the brakes lightly as the speed limit crossing the points is 50 mph. I do have to bear in mind that the last signal was a single yellow aspect, so I'm now going to put the brakes on to slow down further, as we have to assume that the next signal is displaying a red aspect until we can see otherwise. We can now see the next signal ahead, and it is displaying a red aspect, so I'll bring us slowly into a gentle stop at the signal. Now that we're stopped at the red signal, I'm just going to set the driver reminder appliance, and I will leave that on until the signal changes and we're able to move. As you can see, the signal is now cleared. The speed limit here is 45 miles per hour, and we will shortly be passing through a tunnel as we get close to Thornaby. At the end of the tunnel here, I'm now going to idle the power. The speed limit will shortly be dropping to 35 miles per hour. And you can see the 35 speed board just coming up. So I'm just going to prepare to brake lightly for that now. We're now entering the 35 mile per hour speed zone, and I'm just going to allow the train to continue to coast. There will shortly be a further speed reduction down to 20 miles per hour, and I'm going to brake for that as soon as we can see the next signal. You can now see the signal, so I'm now braking for the 20 speed limit. A step 2 brake application, as you can see the board just coming up. We've now entered the 20 mile per hour speed zone, and Thornaby station is just coming up on the right now. So I aim to stop by the glass shelter we just passed on the right. Might have been difficult to see. You might need to rewind the video to take a second look. But there's a passenger waiting shelter there, and that's roughly the right stopping point. Departing Thornaby, the starting speed limit is 20 miles per hour, and we've got just over 3¼ miles to go to our final stop, which is Middlesbrough. As you can see, I idled the power at 20 to allow the train to coast, and we're now entering a 35 mile per hour speed zone, so I'm now going to go up into full power to accelerate up to the 35 speed limit. Now that we've reached 35 miles per hour, I've once again shut off power to allow the train to coast. The speed limit will shortly be going up to 55 miles per hour, at which point we will go back into full power. The speed limit is now 55 miles per hour, so we're going to accelerate up to that now. Now that we've reached 55 miles per hour, I've once again shut off power to allow the train to coast. The speed limit will shortly be dropping to 45 miles per hour. So on the next left-hand curve, I need to brake for that. So as you can see, I braked step 1 for the 45 mile per hour speed limit. We are now down to 45 and the 45 speed board is just coming up. Although the speed limit here is going up to 60 miles per hour, it's quickly going back down again to 45, so there's no point in accelerating. And as you just saw, we've got a Morpeth board now for a 25 mile per hour speed limit, which will be coming up shortly. So in the meantime, I'm allowing the train to coast at around 45 miles per hour. We will brake for the 25 mile per hour speed limit when we see a signal on a gantry coming up just ahead. We've now reached the signal on the gantry, so I'm now going to brake for the 25 mile per hour speed limit. As you can see, I've once again used light step 1 braking to bring us down, and the 25 board is just coming up. And you can also see Middlesbrough station just slightly to the right of us. Here at Middlesbrough, I aim to stop just at the end of the brick wall you can see on the left, and so I believe this is roughly the right stopping place. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video.